Joining us this morning is Matt Hubbard, who's kind of heading up this project. And Matt, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Jimmy Dale.
Good to have you with us. And, this is not new. This started, in 2015 originally?
Actually, with phase one, the soccer concession stand building started the summer of 2015, and then it has progressed, the domino, the ripple effect, if you will, from phase one with the soccer building, the soccer field, lights on the soccer field, the new north parking lot with phase one. That rolled right over into phase two and to phase three at Legion Stadium. Yeah. And phase two is the east side, if you will, of the stadium project that consists of the visitor concession stand, our boys and girls soccer locker rooms, our visiting football team locker room, and public restrooms on the visitor side of the stadium. Phase three is actually Legion Stadium, and of course that consists of the stadium seating itself. And there we go. That looks good. And
that seems like a long
the
time
turf.
Ago, right?
It does. I have to say this, just looking at that turf project right there, that's probably the most interesting thing that I've ever seen from a construction standpoint, to see the actual field being removed, how deeply they dug down and then built that field back up to see the finished product now. That was just such an impressive process to watch.
The press box has been there a long time. I saw a shot of that. Did some renovation of that as well. The overall cost of these projects, $4 million or so?
Right now we're currently at close to $4.8 million with all of it from phase one to what we call phase four, the turf project. So right now we're at about $4.8 million.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And ribbon cutting for the stadium is tomorrow night. Talk about that.
Yep. We're excited about that. It's a day we weren't, you kind of planned for that way out, but now, it's right on top of it. So ribbon cutting tomorrow night, Legion Stadium, 6:30. It's open to the public. We'd like for everyone to come out and see your tax dollars at work and see what you're getting. Unfortunately, we're not 100% finished with everything that we're doing at Legion Stadium, but we, by the end of the month, we'll be at 100%.
Matt Hubbard, our guest this morning, and Matt heading up the construction projects, overseeing the construction projects, and this stadium itself, back in the 40s it was built?
Mm-hmm. The city of Sylacauga has gotten over 80 years, of use out of Legion Stadium thus far. So, you look at the original investment to Legion Stadium and the amount of time it's been, well needed. I've been here 20 years, and I know when I got here 20 years ago, we were talking about doing things like this, and the general sentiment back then was that we would never see it in our lifetime, and it's kind of like that same conversation with the city sports complex. Mm-hmm. We just keep talking about it, but what a wonderful feeling to see this actually come to fruition here at Legion Stadium for both schools, not just Sylacauga City schools.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is a state-of-the-art for any school in Alabama.
Absolutely. I mean, it's, we're talking about state-of-the-art with Legion Stadium. We have technology items that we've added to this to where, when you go to the concession stand, you're going to be able to still see the ball game on a monitor, on a TV screen. So you won't actually lose any of that. It'll be in real time. So state of the art, that technology is there, similar to what you'd see at a college football game.
Mm. Now, this stadium, the remodeling of the stadium, conjunction with the Talladega County Board of Education.
Yes, and that's, for someone who's been here as long as I am, I'm extremely proud of that, and the work that Dr. Freeman did when he came in and the rapport that he built with the superintendent, Dr. Lacey, in Talladega County, and Mr. Dan Payon at the time, and currently it's Mr. Kelvin Cunningham that we're working with in the county, and their administrators at B.B. Comer. But to see the rapport that Dr. Freeman built with our mayor and city council and all those stakeholders involved that were responsible for putting this lease agreement, this package together, it was just fantastic. And to get the overall vote of 83% for the property tax extension just shows how much that our community supports our school systems.
Yeah. Matt Hubbard, our guest this morning, and kickoff is Friday night at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
I mean, it is on us for sure.
It is.
Where are we in the process, and how's it going to look Friday night?
That's a great question. We had our annual white towel scrimmage Friday night, and mostly parents, that came out and watched that, so they got to see a little bit of where we were last Friday night. So with 1 week to go, or really less than 1 week now, we're looking at about 4 or 5 days. It's basically finishes and fencing and the scoreboard. And so when I say finishes, I'm talking about, getting everything cleaned up, getting final coats of paint and that type of thing on for finishes. And then we've got fencing that we still have to address, which we always knew that wasn't going to be complete by the first game. It was always going to be the end of August with the fencing. And we're trying to work out issues with our scoreboard. So probably won't have the new scoreboard up and operable for this first game, but definitely by the end of the month.
All of us who travel down Broadway, see the west side of the stadium,
Yes.
but the east side, there's been a lot of work done there too.
Yeah, that visitor locker room / it also doubles as our boys and girls soccer locker rooms. That's what I've been telling people. That is a fantastic building. The concession stand is so user friendly. Again, it'll have we're going to have the Wi-Fi in the stadium, and the visitor concession stand will have the TV monitoring, so they don't miss any of the game when they go to the concession stand. New public restrooms on the north and south side of the building, and then internally you have 2 locker rooms that have a pull-down gate locking door that during football season it'll be up. So a football team can come in if they wanted to, put offense over here, defense over here. Coaches can strategize with them. And it has 2 just wonderful coaches' offices. I'm predicting our coaches will be fighting over those offices. They're really nice.
Being a former coach, that's a dream, isn't it?
It is. It's really nice. It's a really nice facility over there. So we're extremely proud of what's going on the visitor side.
There's a lot of other activity and remodeling construction going on too, and Sylacauga's always had a great baseball program, and I know that's important to you.
Oh, absolutely. I came up and played baseball, played against Sylacauga when I was in high school and so forth, and when I first got here 20 years ago, actually was assistant varsity coach on a state championship team and was head JV coach back in 98. So
back in the day,
97, 98, and it was fantastic. The amount of talent and the level of coaching was just phenomenal. And we have, that's something that's always remained a steady constant here in Sylacauga regarding baseball. And I remember I had the good fortune to coach our girls softball team here in Sylacauga as well. So I have a passion for both sides of those. I've coached every sport: football, basketball, baseball, softball. So, those are close to passions that I've had.
And those are projects that are ongoing as well.
Absolutely. When we finish these projects, we should go right into we've got the bid up will either be this month or next month for baseball projects, softball projects, and then some finishing touches up over at the soccer field. And so all of those projects combined, we're hoping will be completed by January, no later than February.
What does this say, Matt, to people? And that thoroughfare, Broadway, is heavily traveled. What does that say to visitors coming through?
That's a great question. I mean, and that's something that we, in the school system, that we hope that the rest of the community shares, and our pride in that, because, regardless if you're coming south 21 or north on 21, you're going to see that beautiful middle school, Nichols Lawson Middle School, and you come a little more, a little further down the road, and then you see, all the modifications and renovations we've made at Sylacauga High School is just fantastic. And then across the street to all the work, we're currently doing with Legion Stadium. You come on down, you see a new Board of Education. So what we're hoping is that when people travel this corridor here, they see the pride that our community, something we've always known in Sylacauga, is the pride that we have in our children, and it shows through our school system and the like. So extremely proud of that.
You talked a little bit earlier about the field itself and the prescription turf, I think is called.
Yes.
No more painting the field or striping the fields.
Yes, sir. And that's a huge benefit for our coaches. Back when I, going through the planning meetings for all of this, and that was one of the top priorities on both sides for Sylacauga and for Comer and for the city system, the county system, was to get that artificial turf. And Dr. Freeman, I give him a lot of credit. He put a lot of research and a lot of time into looking at the different types of fields to get the right quality of field. Yeah, you see it being unloaded there. And we actually paid a little bit more for a quality turf and the type of component infield that we have. It's called a crumb rubber, and it's not just a black rubber, but it's a green rubber, and it's 70% rubber and 30% cork, and that's the safest on the market.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, there was some research out there. I don't know if it was actually research or there was just concern out there that maybe some of that crumb rubber had some carcinogens in it and may have been leading to some cases of cancer. And so, the industry, got on top of that, and this is the product one of the products they've come out with, this 70% rubber, 30% cork, and that's what we went with. And it's actually a green color. So it helps the greenness of the field.
Matt Hubbard, our guest this morning, and I'm assuming, not walking in your shoes, but it's probably been a very busy summer, in spring and summer for you. Absolutely.
The last 2 years, and even for this school year, it's been a tremendous learning curve. Another side of public education that I feel like I needed to learn to be a complete leader in public education. And just to learn the construction side on the capital improvements and the processes and all of our regulations, that we have to abide by. And it's just been an amazing journey and a very busy, very busy journey.
I guess with the ribbon cutting tomorrow night at 6:30, and then the actual first game to be played on that field since the renovation Friday night at 7 o'clock. I guess when people are coming into the stadium, especially Friday night, be a big crowd, and there's going to be a few bumps or bruises going along there, so patience will be a key, I guess.
Yes, and we're so thankful. I tell all your audience right now, we are very appreciative of everyone's patience right now. They've been patient through all of our construction work, phase 1 all the way through phase 4, and then even our upcoming projects. And, working with our coaches, our boosters, and with the city and with the county, it's been phenomenal to see the camaraderie and the teamwork that's taken place so that all of this can happen for our kids. The band's going to, benefit from this, cheerleaders, soccer, all the programs that use these facilities are going to benefit, and even through our physical education classes. So track, it's just it's fantastic to see that all of this come to fruition, and then our kids get to benefit.
People coming into the stadium, is the parking different this year?
We do have the new north parking lot, and we've had some modifications to what we call the senior parking lot that's right there in front of the Tom Calvin Fieldhouse. What you'll see is, of course, we've upgraded all of our ADA parking to be van accessible and lift accessible and so forth. And so we're extremely proud of that. All the ADA modifications we've made at all the facilities, I'm really proud of that. And the same can be said for the north parking lot with ADA accessibility to the stadium and to the track. So there will be some tweaks to parking. They'll still be able to park along 6th Street. Mm-hmm. I don't believe we're going to have ticket takers on 6th Street this first ball game. That may change as we get permanent fencing up and so forth. But I think to those who will be attending the game Friday night, if memory serves correct, everyone will still come through that main gate, especially for this first ball game.
You talk about beautiful. When you go into the entrance of the west side of the stadium, that is gorgeous.
It's going to be fantastic. When we get the caps on all the brick tiers and the decorative fencing and the signage that says Legion Stadium and the painting, of course, those finishes, it's really going to pop. I mean, it's going to have just a beautiful look to it. You see it there on camera. It's going to be fantastic when all those finishing touches are put in place.
I remember when Coach Griff came here 12 years ago or so.
Yes.
He talked about a dream that he had, and this dream is coming to pass.
It is, and the conversations that I have with Coach Griffith now are more along those lines, remember where we were, look at where we are, and he's just had tremendous success here with the football program. And when I use the word program, I don't use it lightly when I speak of football and all of our athletic programs since he's been here. He has built a program from the 7th grade all the way through the 12th grade and stays in contact with those kids who go on to the next level, regardless what sport it is. He's nationally certified strength conditioning coach, and so we put him over he had to put his stamp of approval on all weight and conditioning programs for all athletic programs. And when we did that, we saw an improvement with our our female sports and our male sports, and we saw a decrease in injuries and an uptick in student athletes going on and playing on the next level. So I don't know if people understand that about Coach Griffith, but those things weren't necessarily taking place until he arrived here.
Matt Hubbard, our guest this morning, and I was just thinking as you were talking, Matt, former basketball coach, head basketball coach, Sylacauga High School, among other hats that he's worn. But I remember back in the day when we were struggling, you and I sat in your office and talked about, well, we need new carpet, we need new paint. How are we going to do this? And look at us now.
And look at us now. And we were sitting about that close to each other because it was so tight. But yes, I remember those days and see where we are now. And look, I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up because it kind of gets lost in the mix because it's not really falling under all of our athletic projects. But both gyms at the high school have been renovated, and I will tell the folks at Sylacauga this: when you walk in the new competition gym at Sylacauga High School, you will be thoroughly impressed. New hardwood floor, new bleachers. We're going to put up new basketball goals system, backboards, so forth, new sound system, all of those things. And when people see that, they'll see how it's all tied together. And we've just about touched every athletic venue that we're responsible for in the school system.
I don't know if you can post me up now still or not.
No.
I would need our guest this morning, Matt, heading up and what is the official title that you carry?
Well, it's in the old days it was called Assistant Superintendent of Operations. Now that they've got a long title for it, it's called Executive Director of Supporting Programs. So it's the same position, just different title.
Well, man, it's always a pleasure talking with you, and thanks for being with us this morning. See you tomorrow night.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jimmy Dale.
All right, Matt Hubbard, our guest this morning. Ribbon cutting tomorrow night, 6:30 at Legion Stadium. Then the kickoff for the first game to be played on the new field will be 7 o'clock, Sylacauga taking on Chilton County. We got news from the Associated Press coming up.